Hey man, so I'll try to give you an overview of how this thing works. There's no power switch, so you just have to plug it in and unplug it to turn it on and off. This is a button that you probably will never use. It's kind of a quick print activity button. You can ignore it. This is where you would plug the printer in directly to your computer if you want. You may do that, it's up to you. This is the micro SD or TF card. That's probably the easiest way to print to it. Just put files on it and then put it in here and then print. And I'll come over here and show you the menu. So these are the buttons. This is not really intuitive. So you can scroll through, you can see print. This is like enter, this is up, or rather this is down or right, this is up and left, this is enter. So I only have like one thing on there. It's something I'm printing for Sam. So if I wanted to print it, I would just press the middle button. I'm gonna exit. And then preheat. I would always preheat the nozzle at least to 190. The bed, I would always just, 60 is the max. I would always preheat that thing to 60. I'm gonna turn it off. And I would let these basically get all the way to temperature for like 2 or 3 minutes. Like let them reach temperature and then wait a couple minutes and then start a print. You're gonna want to pay attention to the first layer. So if you just hit print from the micro SD card and walk away, it's gonna have to heat up and you might not know what the first layer will look like. So I would preheat and then start a print. It'll just make it easier for you. And then this one you probably won't need. So this is called the hot end and this is called the extruder. That's what pushes filament. I'll help you with that in a minute. So this would be like if you needed to extrude a little or not. This would home the axes. So like if I had it here, I can press this and it'll home. It's a delta printer, so it has, you know, like it's a triangle, so it has 3 motors instead of a true like XYZ. They all work in tandem. Yeah, okay. And then so I have a glass bed on mine. For the most part, you should be able to print with it just clean. You can just like water in a lint-free cloth will be fine. You probably won't have to clean it. I use let me grab it. I use a little scraper. I use a little scraper like this, and if you're gentle, you know, you just this will clean it, and that'll also help you pop the prints off. And so I just changed this recently. These are little clips that hold the bed on, so the bed doesn't come off anymore. So hopefully that won't be a problem for you. You can fiddle with it, do whatever you need to. These plexiglass pieces I just added to kind of keep the chamber hot. You can see that this one's super loose because you have to be able to get in there, but also these, you can see I've left open on the bottom. When the hot end comes all the way to this side, it'll actually push these open. So like if you needed to print something like way over here on the edge, these are actually outside, and so this won't close. That'll almost never happen. So normally what I do is, once I start the print and I see a good first layer and I make sure there's no debris on the bed, I just close this and kind of rub it closed. Seems to help the thing keep temperature really well. They alternate power for the hot end and the bed. So if you don't kind of keep this closed, one of them might not stay at temperature, which could be bad. Filament goes on here. Let me find the end. So you're gonna want it to come up like towards you. I call this the front now, and then it'll go over here and go in this hole. And you're gonna want to cut this. Let me see if I can cut it for you real quick, show you. You want to cut this, you want to bevel it slightly because it has to slide through a couple Bowden tubes and make a couple like sharp edges. So what I do, this is what it'll look like after you print something. So I just cut it kind of at an angle. And then you have a little bit of bevel. If you have too much of a bevel, it actually won't go through. And then you kind of start it. I'm sorry, this is so terrible. You start it in here, and then I won't be able to do it right now. You need 2 hands. You have to pinch this. This kind of opens it. It relieves. So this wheel is what's going to actually feed the filament, and this takes all the pressure off that wheel. So you can push the filament through, and it'll go through this Bowden tube, and it'll go all the way down here into the hot end, and you'll feel like little steps as you're pushing it through. And you have to load filament and unload filament with the hot end hot, at least 190. 200 is a little easier when you're loading and unloading. And then I would manually push the filament through the extruder down to the hot end until you see filament coming out. And then reach in with your fingers, let it cool a second, reach in with your fingers, grab that, and then you can start a print. I think that's it for the printer. It's super loud, so don't put it somewhere that it's gonna, annoy you. You probably could run it in your garage right now if you wanted to. Once it gets above like 100, I don't run it in my garage anymore. But I do run it in my garage when it's nice weather, and it's probably fine for the next month or so to do that if you want to. Yep, I think that's it.